Howdy, guys, and welcome to Big Brother. Yeah, maybe not the Big Brother show, but Cliff Notes Live. And Lord knows we're going to talk all about it. The season has started. We've seen a couple of episodes. The live feeds are on. More or less, it worked for me. I figured a workaround for watching, recording the show since we don't have rewind and all that. Dealing with stereo. Anyway, we'll talk about it. I watched a lot of live feeds. I got a cup of coffee this evening because it's been a coffee kind of day with everything going on. Trying to keep track of those feeds. The best time of the year. With that being said, let me start off with a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all of you guys who hang out here with me every Monday night, and those of you who watch it on replay. And I certainly love reality TV, and I especially love Big Brother. It's been so much fun. So welcome aboard. Now, I know some of y'all are new. Some of you have been long-time folks. I already see y'all's names out there. We may have a few new folks as well now that we're in Big Brother season. If that is the case, first of all, I urge you to please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, and you can hit the thumbs up while you're out there as well. But the important part, if you subscribe and turn on your notifications, I do the daily, the overnight recaps. Put a new recap out every morning. If you got your notifications turned on, you'll know as soon as I drop it, and you can be a little ahead of the game in terms of keeping track of what was going on overnight. We had a lot of that going on overnight. All right, with all that, let's see. Let me give you a warning before we start talking about Big Brother at all. There will be spoilers. There's no way I can talk about everything with only talking about what we saw on the Thursday night and the Sunday night shows. We're going to talk. We've got a new veto winner. We've got a new nomination. So we're going to be talking about that. So if you only want to know what's going on from the episodes themselves, I hate to do it. You can put it on mute and you can watch me throw my hands all over and do all that. But you may want to hold off a few days because I am talking about some spoilers this evening. So I just wanted to give everyone fair warning on that. All right. With all that being said, let me go out here and see who's out here. And that's it. If you're new out here, I try to give and take as much as I can. I tend to ramble on, but I do try to look at questions. I'll answer questions. Doesn't have to be Big Brother, but I assume it will be this evening. I'll answer as many questions as I can. If I miss your question, I apologize. I probably just truly missed it. You can always send me a DM and I'll answer as well. It doesn't have to just be this show. All right, with that being said, let me check who's out here and then we'll get right into it. Kennedy Franken. Kennedy, how are you doing, my friend? Congratulations. Be first one out here. Lee Strack as well. Howdy, Lee. Audrey Cobb, Ryan 51, Dana Myers. I'm going to go through these pretty quick this evening. Terry Thomas, Michelle Moore, Marilyn Sutherland, Big Jake 88. Amanda, God, I love seeing all these names out here. Brian Hotstale, hey, Brian. Marilyn Sutherland, Desiree Watts, Mosu. I hope I'm pronouncing that. Moisu. I'm having a hard time with Kian. Even now, Keanu, mental block. I'm just gonna take a while. I'll get it figured out. Anyway, Moasu, I assume. Karen Hummer as well. Yeah, I don't know why I can't pronounce that. Let's see who else we got here. Carol Mosher, Cindy Hire. Hi, Cindy. How are you, my friend? Lynn Gideon, Colleen, Brianna Lane, and let's see, Tim Cox. Hunter Green. Hey, Hunter, how are you? Doreen Morris, Misfire, and Paula Scar. That's about it. Charlene Pickett, Angie Hung. Angie, I guess no gymnastics. I hope you're doing fantastic. And Carol Bowman, Ken T, Sandy O, Tommy Braskett. Wow, a lot of folks out here. Donna McCarthy, C. Gabarino, like Dr. Bose. Howdy, Dr. Bose. How are you, my friend? Laura Lewis. Deb McDougal, Robbie M, Wyatt Garrett as well. Hey, Wyatt, had fun hanging with you on Thursday night. And I think about it, the Captain Lee fan and Batman and Paula Scarf. I didn't mention before. I may have that. I'm saying it again. And Liz Ragdale. I hope I got everyone right. I see new names. I see old names. Welcome, one and all. Love having y'all out here, especially when we get to talk about Big Brother. So what do y'all think? All right, let's start off before we talk about the show itself. I had a blast Thursday night, went to the premiere episode up in Dallas. I got to hang with Kat and Brooklyn from last season, Quinn from last season, Matt Klotz from 2 seasons ago. Angela showed up from last season. Wasn't really expecting it. She showed up. Gotta say, I wasn't sure what to expect from Angela after the season. Yeah, she's kind of roller coaster in terms of things. Incredibly nice, incredibly friendly lady. I love talking game with her. She's got a son who's in his 20s. I had a blast talking to him because I could see in him a lot when my kids saw me on the show. Having to watch your parent be on the show, always a little stressful. So I had fun talking to him. Had a blast at the show. Met a lot of true Big Brother fans. Had a blast doing that. It was just so much fun. We watched it on a big screen, so I got to see Julie Chen being about 60 feet taller. So sold out the show. Kat's talking about next time we do it, it's going to be at American Airlines Arena. Heck, we may go rent the Sphere in Las Vegas. Wouldn't that be a fun way to watch Big Brother? Who knows? Maybe someday. We shall see. All right, real quick, before we get into the questions and comments and all that, Marilyn Sutherland, thank you so much for the support. I absolutely appreciate the super sticker. Y'all know I do this as a labor of love, right? I may have a couple ads thrown in here and there, but I just do it because I love talking Big Brother, and my wife is very grateful I get to talk to y'all about it sometimes and not just with her. But Marilyn, I appreciate the support. I truly do. You've been a longtime fan of the show, a supporter of the show, and it is much appreciated. So thank you so much. All right. With all that being said, I've got a lot of opinions, but I'm sure I'll be throwing them in as we go into y'all's questions. I'd prefer to get some of y'all's questions. What do y'all think? The twist so far, the nominations, the house guests, are they playing the way you expected them to play? Are there people surprising you? What do you think about the mystery 17th house guest, Rachel, in the house, right? I can't say a complete surprise. It seems like most of us kind of had it figured out, but I am curious to see how she's going to play the game this season. It's been a while. All right, let me look at questions and we'll come back to that. Terry Thomas is saying, why would they bring Rachel back? And do you think they'll get her out and let her win again? Here's the deal. First of all, Rachel did not play in season 22, the All-Star season. So because of that, I got a little bit more okay with her coming in. Y'all have heard me before. I've said I really don't want to see just one or two returning house guests back. I don't want to see the Paul type season where he comes back and hands out friendship bracelets and all of that. Well, we kind of got that with Rachel. But having said that, maybe it's because Paul came back immediately after having been on the show. It's been long enough for Rachel, and we didn't get her to see, didn't get to see her ever play an all-star game. So I'm okay with it. And I want to see how she plays. She mentioned during the live feeds or episode, I think it's during live feeds, she said, this is my first time in the house without Brendan here. So I am curious to see how Rachel's going to play, one, without having someone that she absolutely can trust and rely on from start to finish. And two, how is she going to play the game now that she is the GOAT? She's the old school player with all these newbies. How is that going to affect the way she plays the game? We'll see. We'll absolutely see. As far as whether they are going to get her out or not, we saw people like Jimmy, who on the TV episodes said, I may get her out. I'm not going to let her stick around. We saw a lot of house guests very worried about Rachel being in this house and playing this game, as they should be. But now, as we watch the live feeds, we got a lot of people that are trying to work with Rachel. Not everyone, but we've got a lot that are kind of kissing up to her. I don't think that's a bad thing. But a lot of people who are now talking about wanting to work with her. And so as a result, I don't see Rachel going home anytime soon. Now, she's safe this week already. We knew that as a have-not and all. But even beyond that, I don't see Rachel going home for several more weeks. After that, it depends. I don't remember. Rachel won a few competitions, right? But I don't know that people look at her as a comp beast, especially with all these bros in the house and everything. So I don't know that they're going to see her as much as a comp threat as just a charisma threat. And those kind of threats, I think people sometimes are willing to let go a little bit longer. And I think people are just literally scared of her. And I don't think that's a bad thing. If I was in the house playing for the first time ever and Rachel came in or another returning player, I would want to work with them if for no other reason than the fact that if production is going to the effort to get a returning player back, they do not want that returning player going home in week 1 or 2 or 3. So I'm always going to assume that they may have a little more favor with production in terms of twist or outcomes or the way they're edited, things like that. And so I would want to do everything possible to stay close and tight and friendly with that person, just because I would feel like it would reflect better on me and maybe let me kind of, I hate to use the word ride the coattails, but that's basically what I think it would be. Now, later, go for it and get her out. I don't think she wins. I think people after a while see her personality, charisma as being a big enough threat, they get her out. But short term, I think she's in for a while. All right. Glad Rachel is back. Paula Scar. I'm sorry about that. Oh, the Captain Lee fan and Batman. Sorry about that. Glad Rachel is back. Like her gameplay. So far, she's got a tight alliance with Amy. She said on the live feeds, I will not be voting Amy out. So she's made it very well known who her tight connection is, which I think sometimes is a little bit dangerous, but there's something to be said for protecting one or two people, and she doesn't seem like she's playing a floater. So she certainly is declared on that. She's given a little bit of lessons to some folks. I saw in the live feeds her talking to Vince, and Vince was going back and forth about who do I don't want to give too much away until we get to it, but what do I do in terms of voting and nominations and all of that? And Rachel's like, well, why would you put so-and-so up? That's not your game. That doesn't help you, and trying to kind of explain the game to Vince. And I think Vince is more of a fan than he's letting on. I think Vince already understands that. I think Vince may understand that someone like Rachel, a returning player, stroking her ego a little bit may not be a bad plan. I know if I came back in the house and I had a whole bunch of newbies, I'm as egotistical as anyone else. More or less, it's played the game. And I'm sure if I came in and I had some people going saying, oh my gosh, Cliff, I want to do anything to play with you. Please, can I be your little Padawan? Can you give me some help play this game? I'd be, oh, sure, I'm happy to help you out. Vince may be doing a little bit of that to Rachel, but she's certainly explaining the game to him, and seems like getting her way by telling people what maybe they should be looking at and considering. All right, Paula Scar is saying, I'm sorry, Paul. I'll get yours aside. I'll try to keep this. Logan Hambrick said, "How would you grade Vince's game so far?" We'll talk about that. Big Jake 88. Vince is my winner pick with Rachel, Adrian, or Keanu all making Final Four. I can see that, Big Jake. I did not call Vince to win. I called Vince, I think, 5th or 6th place, getting towards the end. I called him to win America's favorite player. I picked Ashley to win. Oh, well, and then she's one of the first nominees. So, yeah, you're doing a great job, Cliff, on that. But I could certainly see them lasting a long while. I think I picked Keanu to come in 3rd place and maybe 2nd. So I think he's in little danger as well. We'll see. How do I grade Vince's play? Let me phrase it this way. Who do y'all think has done more to damage their game in the first week of Big Brother 27? Of the following 4 people, who has done more to damage their game? Ashley, Kelly, Vince, or Keanu? Is there anyone in that group that... And the reason I say, I feel like all 4 of them have made some fairly strategic mistakes. We'll find out how it works out at the end. Sometimes people can make mistakes at the very beginning. They get their feet up under them and it's fine. But as far as those 4, Ashley, y'all know about the whole Showergate saga, right? And Misfire saying, apparently there was a fight before the feeds came on. Showergate. Yeah, we saw a little bit of it. That is the worst part. We lost 5 nights of feeds, 6 days, I guess, of feeds. We don't know for certain what all went on and what didn't, except what we were shown on the episode. But apparently, right after Vince won HOH, before we even had a chance to use a shower, Ashley was up there asking if she could take a shower. She took an hour and a half, 2-hour-long shower. I'm surprised Big Brother allowed that, because there is a certain limit to the amount of hot water that you have in that house. But they may have seen the drama being created by her taking that shower and didn't say anything. The first few weeks, people are looking for any excuse to put you on the block. Ashley, who had already been told by Vince that you're safe because we were all part of this group and all that, so you're safe. He turns around because so many people are bad-mouthing Ashley for this shower. Of course, they aren't telling her that. They're all Catherine saying, "Yeah, no, I didn't think it was that big a deal, Ashley." Well, she may have griped about it a little bit. But as a result, Ashley gets put on the block as a nominee. And if it wasn't for Showergate, I don't think there's any chance that she would have gotten put on first week. So Ashley certainly has a bit of a strike against her. Vince as HOH, he's had some tough decisions having to pick 3 people instead of 4. Misfire saying Vince will be the new Frenchie. Yes. Let's skip Vince for a second. Let's talk about Kelly. Do you remember the TV episodes? And we've seen it expressed on the live feeds as well. Kelly and Vince, they're not just an alliance. They're a final 2 alliance. Day number 2, Marilyn Sutherland said, couldn't believe Kelly volunteered to go up. And he does it because it's easy. Not much of a final 2. Yeah. They say we're going to be final 2. Day 2, and we're already a final 2. First of all, I think that's too early to declare a final 2. It's fine to say, let's work together. Let's go a long ways. If you truly find out that your objectives, your gameplay are similar enough, declare ride or dies a little bit later on down the road. I know Nicole and I didn't declare final 2 until, I don't know, 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in. We started saying, look, it's going to be you and me and Ovi, and we're going to play this game together. I think maybe right after Ovi departed is when Nicole and I said, look, we're going to work together and make it to the very end. And so it was past day 30. I think day 2 is very early to be declaring a final 2, but they did it. And now, let's not bury the lead. We do have results from the veto competition, because that's going to explain a little bit more of this gameplay. We have a winner of the veto competition that was played, I think it was yesterday. I don't have confirmation, but I think it was played yesterday. And the winner of the veto competition, remember, spoilers, winner of the veto competition is Ashley. Ashley of Showergate fame. Ashley, who very well probably would be going home come Thursday if she's still on the block. Saves her skin. First person to show that she does what she has to do. She wins veto competition. So they had the veto ceremony today. She pulled herself off the block. Congratulations, Ashley. Yours personally was on the block week number 1. Ended up getting pulled off the block. Not because I did a great job. I did a horrible job in the first veto comp. But Sam Smith won and chose to pull me off. You've got Amy and Rachel as the mom squad, one of the alliances. We're the only 2 moms in the house. We're going to protect each other. I really tried to push that with Sam. Hey, Sam, you got kids. I got kids. We're the only 2 dads in the house. So, hey, if that means anything, and it paid off. Sam pulled me off the block. So congratulations to Ashley. But that really created a major issue for Vince, because now he's already put up 3 people. There's 4 people who can't be put up because they're have-nots and safe for the week. That doesn't leave a lot of people for him to choose from in terms of building alliances, pulling people in, but also having to pick people. And now, instead of just 3 people, now because Ashley pulls herself off the block, he has to put a 4th person up. And of all the people in that house that are eligible to go up, your ride or die, your final 2, probably is the one that should feel safest, right? Wrong. No, he puts up Kelly, his final 2, as the other nomination, as the renom. And not as a pawn. I mean, he'll say it's a pawn. She'll say it's as a pawn. But the reality is there is a very good chance that Kelly's going home, because Amy is also on the block. Amy has a lot of supporters, people who have either said, we really like Amy, she's very friendly, or other people saying, we can get her out anytime. She is not a threat at all. So why waste this first week HOH or first week's eviction on her? So Amy probably is not going home. Zay is on the block as well. Zay has a good chance of winning this blockbuster, pulling himself off. But even if he doesn't, there's a good chance he could beat Kelly. So Kelly has put herself into a position of very easily going home this week. And she volunteered to do it. Why, would you ask? Would you ever volunteer? She wanted to make sure that no one suspected her and Vince of being too close to one another. I get it on down. I get it after a few weeks. First week, everything's so fluid. I don't think that should be your biggest concern. staying off the block should be your biggest concern. She volunteered to do it. She, in fact, said, it's going to be fun. It's going to be cutthroat, or not cutthroat. I don't remember. It's going to be fun to do. And Vince said, oh, yeah, people like seeing bold play. Yeah, not that kind of bold play. That's a short-lived bold play there, Kelly. She volunteered to put herself on the block. So I'm nominating her for maybe having the worst first week gameplay alongside Showergate Ashley. Vince choosing to put up the one person that he should be able to trust. I put him in the mix as well for bad gameplay. In fact, he said, look, how's this going to work out? I'm putting up my final 2 ride or die. She may go home this week. I don't have any power next week. I easily could go home next week. Wouldn't that be a great first couple of weeks of gameplay? This house, mystery house, it's also a haunted house, and it's haunted by the ghost of Frenchie. Frenchie played so much, nominated so many people, burned out week number 1. We may be seeing the same thing here as well. And then the final person, Keanu, I haven't seen a lot of the live feeds today, but he was starting to get a lot of people upset with him last night, and apparently it's just continued on. He had Jimmy upset with him. I think Rachel, a lot of people gunning for Keanu. God, that's going to be drive me crazy. A lot of people gunning for him just because he's a little too vocal, maybe playing a little too hard as well. If he was on, there were a lot of people that wanted him on the block instead of Kelly. And that probably would have been a better play for Vince, I think, possibly. And if that was the case, he probably would have gone home. So by not getting put on the block, he's safe for 1 more week. That may be all. We've seen some sloppy gameplay so far, but it is the first week, and these are newbie players. So we'll see if it gets better. All right, Karen Loveland is saying they put Rachel on slop, so she and 3 others were safe. Yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I think everyone pretty much volunteered to be a have-not, knowing that it would give them safety for the first week. I think it's a perfect plan, perfect idea, because here's the deal. First of all, if you're a have-not, we're not going to have just 1 week's of have-not. Now, mine was a weird season. We only had 2 weeks of have-nots. There was something going on behind the scenes, and I've heard rumors. I don't know, but that's not normal. Normal, you have 3, 4, 5 weeks of have-nots taking place. So the chances are everyone is going to be a have-not at some point in time. You might as well do it and get it over with week number 1 if it brings you safety. Then you aren't going to feel obligated to volunteer at some later week when it may be that much more important that you do it. The other thing too, if Rachel's a have-not, I certainly don't mind sleeping in the same room as Rachel and feeling a little common bond right to start in terms of helping protect my game. So for all kinds of reasons, I think it's great. I will say this. I would prefer to have Rachel as a have-not and she's safe because of that, as opposed to past seasons where returning house guests were safe just because they had friendship bracelets, as an example. Yeah, at least there's a price to be paid for her safety. So I am okay with it. Paula, what do y'all think about the have-not room? Kind of interesting, huh? Paula Scar saying, which bedroom would you pick? Yeah, let's talk. And Paula, I'm sorry, it took a little while to get to that question. I don't know. You know, the bunk beds are kind of cool. There's something to be said for being in one of those upper bunks. I just feel like I would feel more in control of a situation if I had one of those bunks. So that maybe would be my choice. I would not like that front bedroom. I certainly wouldn't like the have-not bedroom. And I'm not sure I like the other bedroom. It seems too exposed. The only good thing about that bedroom is you can very closely monitor who's going in and out of that back bedroom, the bunk room or whatever. We don't have names for them just yet, but yeah, they changed the house plans. During my season, you could walk basically from, say, the storage living room past the storage room and go straight to the door of the RV and go into that back bedroom. So the beds in that front bedroom are kind of pulled back and a little bit more isolated. This one, if I recall, you basically have to walk straight through all the beds and get to a door that goes into the bunk room at the far end of the room. If you're in one of those outside bedrooms, beds, you could tell everyone who's going in and out. So there is something to be said for that. But just in terms of comfort and privacy and all that, I kind of like that upper bunk. That would be okay. Of course, look at me. I maybe would be better off with a bottom bunk instead of trying to jump up and down in the bunks every night. But the other thing with the bunk beds, is it easier or harder to talk strategy and game and all of that? I don't know. It's interesting because you just have those two main rooms right now. Yeah, I know you've got the have not room and the HOH room, but you really have two big rooms with a lot of people in there right now. So there's probably not a lot of strategy talk taking place anyway during the evening. But yeah, I don't know. I like the bunk beds, but I think strategy wise, maybe there's something to be said for the front bedroom instead. Who knows? Probably it depends more on who's in those rooms. Who do you, and I haven't really paid enough attention yet, who's sleeping in what rooms, who's sleeping next to who and all that. Sometimes I can give you a pretty good feel about who feels most comfortable with each other. Helps you kind of figure out some of the alliances and things like that. I know during my season, Tommy and Sis and Christy were sharing a bed in the target room. And of course, we had Holly and Nikki sharing a bed and Nick and Bella sharing a bed. I'm not sure that was based on alliances. That was based on something else. I don't know. But you could kind of tell the 6 shooters, Grateful Eight alliance just by where they were hanging out in the beds they were sleeping in. So someone's always paying attention to those kind of things. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Take a breath for a second. Tim Cox, surprised Amy was the accomplice. She was a bit loud when she entered the house, and maybe that was her cover. And then Lynn Gideon is saying, is the accomplice twist over, or could Amy be called on to do more tasks? I think it's over. We haven't heard anything to suggest it isn't over, which I don't know. It seems like a big twist that really didn't have anything at all. There wasn't a lot of chance that they were going to figure out who that accomplice was. And even if they did, what happens? One person goes home. It doesn't really affect anyone else's game that much. I would like to see it continued. And maybe, what if you had, I've told y'all before, I'd love to see where every week maybe someone is like America's agent or something. What if you had an accomplice every week, but not necessarily the same accomplice? And they would have some kind of task they had to do to win money or win some kind of power advantage for that week, something like that. But if they were exposed, you can't have they go home every week if they're exposed. This isn't traitors. But maybe they have a penalty vote, or they go on slop. They become an automatic have-not if they're discovered to be the accomplice. Some kind of penalty, but also some kind of reward if they can make things happen. It's not as though we don't already have enough paranoia in the house, but why not just throw a little bit more in there? So yeah, I think the twist is over. I wish it wasn't, because I think you could have some fun with it. As far as the accomplice, yeah, Amy came in a little loud and all of that. I almost got it. Here's what my thinking was, and some of it proved to be correct, but I didn't quite get at the end. I was very confident that the accomplice had to be a woman, because if they did truly identify the accomplice for whatever reason, they screwed up, said something wrong, whatever. If they identified the accomplice and it was a woman, she goes out the door. Rachel becomes the 16th house guest, and you still have the 8-8 balance of men versus women, which is what production wants. If it was a man who was the accomplice and he got found out, suddenly you've got 9 women and 7 men from the start, and there's too much risk that things can happen. Of course, that may be the impetus you would need to finally have a girls' alliance that carries through to the very end. But I did think that they would want to have a gender balance as equal as possible. So I thought it was going to be a woman. I was thinking it probably would be the first group that came into the house, just because we saw the little ticking clock that they showed. And as it turns out, Amy activated it. I actually thought it was Kelly, because I just thought Amy was a little too obvious and, as you said, a little too loud. I thought it was Kelly. Nah, it turned out to be Amy. Now, no one else, the house guest, didn't see that little clock. So for them, a little harder to figure out. And again, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it would have been nice, I suppose, to get one more person out of the house. But I'm glad they didn't discover it was Amy, because I would have felt so bad for Amy being tasked with that assignment. She gets in the house so excited, and then you just go home. I don't ever want to see day one. I don't want to see week one. Of course, we don't know when those picks were made. I assume it's fairly early. I don't ever want to see someone go home without them having a chance to play the game and exert some influence and all of that. So I'm glad it didn't work out. Angie Hung, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Angie has supported me forever. I've known Angie ever since I got out of the house, it seems like, and I am better off because of it. Angie saying, long overdue. Thank you for keeping us up to date on Big Brother and your weekly hangouts. Thanks, Cliff. Angie, thank you for being a friend. And Angie lives a wild and incredible life, and a little envious at times. So thank you for the support, Angie. I absolutely appreciate it. You are a true friend, and I appreciate every day we've had since we met each other. Thank you so much. All right, let's see. Other questions. Tina Harlan saying, Tina Harlan saying that. Sorry, Tim. Love the 10K twist, something new and different. I like that. I really like the twist. I will admit, I'd kind of forgotten that they said game-changing power. I thought the 10K was all it was going to be. And all I could think was, yeah, you always like to win 10K, but talking about putting a target on your back right off the bat. And I think Kelly even got some flack because she had said something to the extent of saying, Zach, you're going to be a target because of that. Well, he didn't like hearing that. No one would say, hey, you're a target. Don't be putting ideas into people's head. But she had said it, and it's true. Anytime you start winning money and things like that, people kind of give you the side eye in the house. And he's already got this, so maybe I'm not going to worry so much about it. Sam won a trip to Fiji during one of the veto competitions, and I think that may have had a little bit of an extra effect on him getting sent home pre-jury as opposed to maybe Kat getting that vote. There were a lot of other things going on. That may not have been the deciding factor, but it can be the smallest little thing can be the deciding factor at times. So, but yeah, I love the twist. It's huge. The idea that if he is on the block after a veto ceremony, I think that's the way it works, right? He can pull himself off the block and force the HOH to make another nomination. Now, the downside is he has to pay $10,000. The $10,000 prize goes to the HOH. Well, my first thought is, you better keep that a deep, dark secret, because if I'm HOH and I know that that's your power, I may as heck just put you on the block just so you'll have to use that and give me the $10,000. There are certainly people who would do that, and I would probably be one of them. So you better be keeping it a secret, my friend. But yeah, I like that he's got it. I like that there's a financial penalty to pay for it. I've told y'all before, I'd love to see twist where money, that $750,000, that there are times throughout the game where you can sacrifice some of that winner's money in order to buy an advantage. If it's for you, you're probably going to do a lot of it. If it's to protect one of your allies, someone in your alliance, will you? Won't you? They'll be pushing you to do it, perhaps. I think introducing a monetary punishment to some advantages is a very cool thing to do. And I'd like to think that maybe CBS was listening to me make that suggestion, and maybe that came into play a little bit. If so, let me know, CBS. All I want to know is the acknowledgement. But no, I do like that twist. It is a powerful twist. If you're Zach, does that give you a willingness? Does it give you a willingness to play more aggressively, knowing that, hey, worst comes to worst, if I'm on the block, I basically have safety. I might as well I'm buying safety for a week. Now it is going to cost $10,000, but in the grand scheme of things, $10,000 versus $750,000. If it helps you advance in the game, allows you to be more aggressive, maybe he'll be a little bit more willing to take some risk, take some gambles. We'll see. We'll find out. He hadn't played super aggressively so far, but he hasn't really needed to at this point in time. We got other people doing. We got Vince doing that. Vince at one point talking about this whole, do I put up my final two? And he said, well, I feel like the right play, or I feel like the smart play is to protect my final two member. I feel like the right play is to gamble big and put her on the block. Not sure I agree with that, but he's come out and said, look, I know it's a big risk. I know it's a gamble. It may only work 1/3 of the time, but if it does, it's going to be huge. I don't know. It's as huge as he thinks it. I don't know what he thinks he's achieving, other than he's just not getting more blood on his hands. He thinks that if he puts Kelly up, she doesn't go anywhere, they can continue to say, you were just a pawn. And it just saves him from putting up someone like Jimmy, who he feels like has a lot of people who would then come after him. So Yeah, I get it. You don't want too much blood on your hands, but you're risking your ride or die. Now, here is my thought, and let me know what y'all think about this. Vince agreed on day number 2 to final 2 with Kelly. Since that time, Kelly has said some things and done things that maybe doesn't make her the most endearing person to other folks. She's flat out said that Amy and Rachel hate me. They do not like me. If Vince is seeing that, he's seeing a lot of people saying, Kelly, she's, she's maybe not our favorite and all of that. C. Gabarino saying, think Kelly's in big trouble. Rachel's not a fan of Kelly. Yeah. She and Amy, neither one are fans. If Vince is seeing all this and suddenly realizing that, oh my gosh, this person I made this alliance with maybe isn't playing the best game. Vince has said, I don't think Kelly's playing a very good game right now. With all of that, you can call it ride or dies and final 2s. Is he willing to put her on the block, not just because it helps him in other ways, but because in a worst case scenario, she goes home and he isn't saddled with someone that he maybe is regretting agreeing to a final 2 with. There may be a little bit more awareness than he's letting on that this is cutting her loose, and he may not be upset with that. I just think that he may have some regrets from a day 2 final 2 decision. I think that's coming into play as well. Kelly's in trouble. Kelly is in trouble. I said Amy was the first boot. That was my prediction. Well, she made it to the block first, but it was smart of her to get in with Rachel. And now because of that, and it seems like she's a nice person, and that has certainly helped as well. But yeah, I think Kelly is probably in danger as well. I think I had Kelly going out pre-jury, but not first boot. It's hard. It's hard when you just see someone throwing their game away. Maybe it works. We've got 4 days between now and the eviction. All kinds of things can happen. Kelly may win the blockbuster and pull herself off anyway. She's already talking about winning the blockbuster and then winning HOH. And she said, if that's the case, I'm suddenly going to be the biggest threat in the house. After winning 2 comps in a row, everyone's going to come after me the next week. So because of that, she wants to then go big and go after Rachel next week. So yeah, we could see all kinds of fireworks taking place. All right. It's Ma out there. Ma, howdy. I didn't see you pop in. I hope you're doing fantastic. I didn't see your name pop up went on the startup, so I'm glad you're in there. All right, Karen Loveland saying, has my first HOH, any first HOH ever won the game? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Someone who's more of a statistician than I, check and see. If I'm trying to. Christy won the HOH during my season. She didn't win. I can't think of any right off the bat. Josh Martinez. Now, he didn't win HOH. He used the golden apple to protect himself, but he didn't win HOH. So I don't know. I'd love to find out if that's the case. And if not, I'm going to have to do some checking. That's good. I don't know. Ronald Watts is saying, think Ashley is the one who damaged her game. She did. She got lucky. And sometimes it just takes a little time. As you get through so much more drama and personalities, people are going to forget about Showergate. It's not irrecoverable. It's a little bit like me being overheard. It could have cost me the game that week. After a couple of weeks, it's like, it's old news. Whatever. We got more things to worry about. So, but yes, I do think she damaged her game. It probably affected her in terms of relationships. Look at her and Vince. I think they would have been working closely together, but now it just kind of led to some discussions where they ended up feeling like maybe they couldn't necessarily trust each other as much as they wanted. So it still has, it's like throwing a rock in the water. You still see the little ripples that'll last for quite a while. But I hope Ashley is strong enough and personality wise and everything else that she can recover from it. Because you don't want to go home and people say, well, what caused you to lose? You don't want, why did Ashley lose? Oh, because she took an hour and a half long shower in week number 1, day number 1 or 2 or whatever it was. I didn't want to jinx it. I refused to take a shower in the HOH room until I won HOH. I said, nah, I'm not going to do it. I had people had said, go, feel free to use it whenever. Not going to do it. That's going to be my special reward when I win HOH. If I don't ever win HOH, well, then I just lost out on using the shower up there. So I just, as a personal, don't want to jinx my future type situation, I left it alone. But you better know, as soon as I won HOH, was enjoying that shower. That was such a great place to get away, just get a little privacy every once in a while. People coming into the HOH room all the time, but at least if you're in a shower, most of the time they leave you alone. Not always, but most of the time. We've had a lot of people hanging out in Vince's HOH room. It seems like it maybe is not as much Vince's HOH room as it is, I don't know, Jimmy. Jimmy's kind of taken over the HOH room. Jimmy and Zach and a couple of others. Misfire saying Jimmy wants to target Rachel. I can't figure out Jimmy. He's in a lot of different directions. He was announced as part of this triple threat alliance. It was Jimmy and Mickey and Morgan. He's also as part of this heavy hitters alliance where it's him and Vince and Morgan and Zach and Riley and Rachel. As soon as the feeds came on, we saw him talking to Rachel, and they're both talking about trying to get at Keanu. But we also saw him saying that he would go after Rachel if he had a chance. I feel like Jimmy's, and someone said this, I can't remember who on the live feeds, that Jimmy has a whole lot of little mini alliances. He's trying to spread his coverage everywhere and make sure, and it's not a bad strategy to get in good with a lot of little groups, figure out who, after a couple of weeks, truly has the power, and you just then easily gravitate over to them. You drop like a hot rock the other folks that aren't doing so well. That's not a bad strategy as long as people don't find out about it. We've also, there's people that don't want to play with floaters. I think Keanu had said that perhaps. Correct me if I'm wrong if y'all know. Someone said, I don't want to play with floaters in this game. Could be Jimmy for all, and I don't remember, but that he's playing a dangerous game, but I think Jimmy's also playing a pretty good game. The fact that he has so many connections might have saved him from going on the block this week, because we saw a lot of conversations with Vince where Keanu and Kelly were saying, hey, why don't you consider putting Jimmy up? Yeah, Jimmy would be a great choice here, Vince. And Vince kept saying, I don't want to do it, because if I do it, there's going to be 4 or 5 other people who all then come after me, because he's got so many people that are tight with him. Whether if Jimmy ends up not going home, then suddenly he's very much coming after me. But even if he does, there's still a lot of people who will come after me. So Jimmy's work to establish all of these little feelers out to everyone else in the house has paid off, and it's kept him off the block. We'll see. That's one of the reasons Keanu did go up on the block as well. Vince was worried that he's already put Zay on the block. And he had told Jimmy, he said, hey, Jimmy, if I also put Keanu on the block, because that's who Jimmy wanted on the block. He said, if I also put Keanu on the block, that's 2 bros that I put on the block. The bros are all going to come after me. And Jimmy's saying, they're not going to do that. Yeah, they probably would. All right. Donna McCarthy saying, saying, never volunteered to go on the block. You are so right. Coming from a guy who admittedly sort of volunteered. I never volunteered. I always said I'd prefer not to go on the block, but if I do, I want to make it clear how we're positioned on this and all. Yeah, don't ever go on the block. I remember one time when Mickey had just won HOH, a slip and slide, and I felt bad because we had basically pledged to Nick and Tommy and Sis that we were going to betray Mickey, and I thought, all right, he's going to come after Nicole and I because of that. I went in and said, hey, Mickey, don't put Nicole on the block. Put me on the block instead. I was more behind it than she was. I found out later Nicole said the same thing of, hey, don't put Cliff up. Put me up instead. That's true Final 2 ride or die right there. I'm probably not smart of either one of us to actually make the offer, but we did. And I'm very appreciative of it, and I hope she is too. Fortunately, he had bigger targets that week. All right, Dr. Bose is saying, what are the chances that the 18th photo frame gets a new face? I really thought it was going to be Janky. I don't know where Zanky came from. I think I'm thinking Zach Ransom. I really thought it'd be funny to have Janky in there as the 18th house guest. I still expect Janky to make an appearance. I got to say, and I know it's early in the season. It's only been a day of live feeds, 2 episodes, but it seems to me that the people this season are playing the game so much harder than the folks who played last season. No shade on the house guests from last season, but I saw way too much dancing and sitting around coming up with dance routines and songs and anything, writing our own songs and singing and dancing, anything that doesn't involve playing the game. We saw way too much of that last year. I don't think we're going to see that this year. I think we've got a heck of a cast, a heck of a house. So far, Twist looking pretty good. Yeah, I was watching the memory wall, and I did notice there was a column of 5, column of 4 on one wall, on one memory board. The other one had 5 and 4. It's like, all right, that's 18. Who do we have extra on here? They should have put Julie's face on there. And then everyone would have had a meltdown thinking, could Julie be coming in the house? Or just put a little question mark or something. But I think they had, I don't know, a mystery house or just some kind of Big Brother logo instead. Could there be an 18th house guest? Possibly. I don't think you'll have someone else coming in actually playing the game at this point in time. If for no other reason, it's an 83-day season. You better be preparing to have a lot of triple evictions if you're going to start bringing any more people in than they already have. Speaking of, it's maybe a little too early. Are we going to have a battle back pre-jury, post-jury? Or we're going to, I hope, for personal reasons, I kind of hope we do have a battle back. I kind of like the battle backs. But we'll see. Hopefully it's not. I don't like post-jury towards the end of the season. I'd much rather have it pre-jury if at all possible. Haven't heard anything about it yet. And with 17 house guests, maybe not. Well, we'll find out. I'm down for triple eviction. They used to do it BB Canada. I'd love to see it here as well. All right. It's Ham 47. So quick. Karen Loveland saying the BB logo behind your head has a stick behind your head. What's the stick? Move your head for a few seconds, please. Yeah, it looks like a pitchfork, doesn't it? Or a spoon? No, it's actually, let me move this up. I guess that's a magnifying glass, right? Or a handle. It could be a door handle. I'm not sure. I assume it's a magnifying glass of some sort. Definitely not a pitchfork, even though now, or one antler for old Cliff Hogg. Yeah, that's what it is. I love everything about the set. All right, Liz Ragsdale saying, what is the true reason for putting up 3 house guests? Well, the reason is production likes the idea that there's a lot more chaos on the live show on eviction night. There's been too many seasons that with 2 nominees, that it's decided right after the veto ceremony who's going home. Yeah, sometimes you have flops and blind sides and all that, but there's too many weeks where it's just almost a foregone conclusion that you're going home, you're staying, and it's the way it turns out. It's this whole, the house voting unanimously because everyone knows who's going home and you don't want to be on the wrong side. It does create a lot more stability. A lot more predictability is probably a better word. A lot more predictability. By having 3 nominees, it's not just having 3 nominees. It's the fact that of those 3 nominees, one person gets to come off the block, but they don't come off the block until Thursday night's live eviction show. So now suddenly there's a lot more uncertainty. We as viewers are all watching. We're all going to have our favorites of, I hope this person gets pulled off the block. I hope they don't get pulled off the block because then my person's going to be affected. So it has us a lot more invested in that Thursday night live show. You get to see an extra competition. Whichever of the 3 wins that competition, they're pulled off. Now suddenly you've got 2 people on the block and there's a lot less certainty. Maybe not as much conversation about who would have voted for who. No one necessarily knows who the votes are going to be. Now, these house guests are going to sit around and they're going to figure out all the different scenarios. If it's Kelly versus Zay, if it's Kelly versus Amy, if it's Amy versus Zay, they're going to look at every possible configuration and try to figure out who's voting for who. So you'll still have some of it, but it does create a lot more freewheeling, a lot more chaotic Thursday night. So that's the advantage and why production really likes it. The one downside that I see with it, that maybe it's worth it, but because you have the opportunity to pull yourself off the block one extra time, people are less willing to make a big move. As an example, this week, people were trying to talk him into putting up Keanu as the renom, right? In a regular season, I shouldn't say regular because Julie announced this is the way it's going to be from now on. But in a season where you only have 2 nominees, maybe he would be more willing to do that, knowing that Keanu's going to be voting. They're going to be voting for him at the very end, no matter what, on eviction night. But because you have this extra competition, there's a much greater chance that Keanu is going to be able to escape with his life before it comes down to a vote. So as a result, I do think that you have people less likely, less willing to take a really big risk and put a powerful person up there, knowing that they can come off the block. Use as my example, my season. When I won HOH, I put up Jackson Mickey and I put up Jack Matthews. And the idea was I wanted Jack to go home. But secretly, if Mickey went home, well, it's still kind of a big move. And I was willing to take that chance with the assumption that one of them is going to go home, hopefully, no matter what. Or at least there's a good chance of it. If I had known that they were going to be competing in the veto competition and an extra competition to pull themselves off the block, I may have been less willing to take a bigger risk like that. I may have gone with something a little bit safer, just because you're worried that then you're going to have these people really upset and coming after you. So I think it slows down the gameplay a little bit, but it makes for a much more chaotic Thursday night. So that's the yin and yang of it. All right, real quick, we'll get through these fast because we got like 8 minutes. Jared Smith is saying, you didn't want to use that shower anyways. Well, it's probably a good thing I didn't know everything that went on in that shower when I did, or I may have been the stinkiest, smelliest person in that whole house by the end of the season. Sometimes it's good that you don't know everything that we as viewers know about the house. Yeah, ours was a crazy season. Let's see. Angie Hung. Ashley seemed, she seemed the most fake in the preseason. In the preseason segments. So far, she seems unaware of her impact. Colleen saying Ashley was very lucky, especially since Rachel wasn't a possibility. I agree with both of those. And maybe I was too focused on Ashley being a law school grad, being an attorney. She went to Georgetown. She has an athletic background. There's a lot of things that I saw as good strengths to have when you go into the Big Brother house. But self-awareness is probably as important as any of that. And she may not be as self-aware of what's going to get attention and the way the games needs to be played. Even after Showergate, I haven't necessarily seen her as involved as I would expect her to be in strategy and all that. And maybe it's just her wanting to lay low, fly under the radar. But when you kind of have a faux pas like she did, I feel like you need to do some damage control that may mean showing people how you can be a benefit to them instead of just not being a threat. I think that's a very good point. Absolutely valid. Hunter Green is saying, Riley and I did compete together at the Fort Worth Rodeo. He's washed out like me. Well, Hunter, I heard there was a bull rider in the cast, and I really was keeping my fingers crossed. Riley is, I'm curious to see how Riley's going to do. He's in one or two of these alliances. He's in the heavy hitters alliance. I also saw him on a live feed saying, I don't want to ever win HOH after seeing what's going on this week. I've also seen him saying, hey, just tell me what to do. I don't want to make a lot of decisions. Just tell me which way I need to vote. So he is very much playing it very low key. We'll see how that works out. I'm a little jealous that he's wearing a white straw cowboy hat in the house, and he's wearing it all over the house. I wanted to do that, but my white straw hat, they said, bled out with the cameras, just didn't film well. So they took my straw hat away, gave me my felt hat, which is fine. But summer in the backyard, you aren't necessarily wearing a felt hat. Yeah, that creates a little too much heat. So I ended up not really wearing my hat except for eviction night and things like that. But Riley's interesting. I'm still curious to see how he's going to play this game. He's lots of people like him. Everyone's talking about how good-hearted he is and all that. So I think Riley's destined to be in this game for a while. Kennedy Frankenstein, who do you think is going home this week? Kennedy, I think it's Kelly. Now we got 4 days, so things could change, but I think Kelly is in a bit of hurt right now, and it's her own doing. I don't think if she'd volunteered, if she'd acted more upset, I think Vince may have been less willing to do it. He may have done it anyway, but how do you explain to your ride or die you're going to do that if your ride or die is saying, don't put me on the block? So I think it's her own doing. I think she'll go home. I don't know if she cares. She just doesn't seem like she's feeling as threatened. Now, I did see her starting to campaign with people. She's got a disadvantage in that Keanu has said that he's going to campaign for her. He thinks that he and Vince and Kelly are super tight. And so he's already going around talking to people and trying to convince people to keep Kelly. He tried to convince Rachel on the overnight feeds that she ought to keep Kelly and let Amy go. When Rachel's already said, I'm not voting for Amy, and Rachel thinks Kelly is coming after her. And Keanu's up there saying, yeah, I'll take care of Kelly. I'll make sure she doesn't come after you, Rachel. I think he's a little too overconfident in his capabilities on that. I think that's not going to help Kelly to have Keanu right now campaigning on your behalf. So I think it's probably her going home, unfortunately. All right, real quick, we have just a couple minutes. One, I wanted to point out, I never had any chance to. Y'all see my vest for tonight, my shirt. I wore it special. This is my shirt and the vest I wore after I was kidnapped by the squirrel during my season of Big Brother 21. This is the outfit I had to wear when I was competing in the Black Forest and the maze to try to find my way out. I remember I got captured by the squirrel. I got brought into a back room and they said, all right, Cliff, you need to put on this outfit for your next competition. I remember looking at this saying, what in the heck am I going to be doing in this competition? Well, it turned out fine. I won the comp and stayed alive. But yeah, so this was my first costume that I got to wear during my season of Big Brother. So I just wore it in honor of the opening week of the feeds themselves. All right. One last thing, and I shouldn't have waited to the very end, but I'm going to do it, and I'll be hyping it this week. I've got a special guest joining me for the whole hour next week. A special guest talking all about Big Brother, and that special guest is Nick Macaron. Nick from my season of Big Brother 21. Nick started to get more involved in Big Brother again. We had fun over the past week talking about our season and comparing notes of what we would have done and what our thinking was, and just a lot of, hey, why did you do this or that? And we had fun talking about our season. We had fun talking about the house guests this season, who we thought was going to do well and not so well, and twist and all. So I'm going to bring on Nick next week. I think we'll certainly be mainly talking about this season of Big Brother. We may make some comparisons to our season. Heck, we may compare. Yeah, am I like Will? I didn't even mention Will this season. Will's interacting with everyone, but playing very low key. But we'll talk a lot. But Nick's going to be my special guest next week. I'm incredibly excited for it. I'll put out a bunch of hype, as I said. But yeah, have Nick on next week to talk a little Big Brother. So get your questions ready for Nick as well. All right, guys, with that being said, it is 7:58. One more thing for those of you who may not be aware, this isn't the only show I'm doing. As I mentioned, I'm watching every night, watching all night long, so you don't have to. Taking notes. That's hard to do last night with 17 people talking, but taking notes, trying to combine that into about a 20, 30-minute recap episode that I'm going to put out first thing in the morning. If you don't want to listen to 3 or 4 hour explanations about what happened on overnight, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, and when I put out my daily morning overnight feeds recap, you can go out there and check, find out all the important conversations, who blew up at who said the silly stuff, what showmances may be getting ready to happen. We'll find out about that. We'll talk about that next time as well. But I do have my daily morning feeds recap. Please check that out as well. I have a blast doing that also. That being said, as I mentioned, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, hitting the old thumbs up. And with that, guys, oh man, there's not going to be enough coffee to keep me going another night. It's I love watching Big Brother. I love the live feeds. I hope they go to bed a little bit early tonight. We will find out. Vince said he's going to bed early last night. Was in bed 4:30 Big Brother time, 6:30 Houston time. So thank you, Vince. But hey, it's all part of the job. Guys, have a fantastic Monday. Send me DMs on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube in the comments. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are, where you think these things are heading. If you got any questions for Nick and myself next week, let us know. We'll prepare for it. We'll be ready to go. Guys, have a great evening. Have a great week. Enjoy another week of Big Brother. I'll see y'all next Monday, and I'll be talking to you in the morning with the live feed recaps. Have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye. See you later, guys. Y'all have a fantastic